On this episode, we have another story that will probably go down in the archives as an addition to stupid criminals. Stick around to find out what I'm talking about.
Welcome to my take. Well, it's not my take, it's Miguel Crespo's take. Whatever. For inspiration to go.
Welcome to My Take, Pastor Crespo here. My Take is your oasis of inspiration and hope in the desert of negativity and despair. Thank you for joining the podcast and being a part of the My Take family. Well, my friends, we are back. I am so thankful that election season is over. I mean, you still got a few little pockets here and there. I think in Pennsylvania, they're still fighting over some votes, and maybe I'll do an episode on that sometime. But I'm all electioned out, and I'm glad that we can get back to some normal business. I have a story for you today, and this kind of goes back to what the heart of this podcast is. I like to take stories. I like to take things that are happening in the news, and if there's something to laugh at, we will. But to be able to take these stories and find some Bible connection, some Bible thread, so that you can, the next time you hear a story related to this new story I'm going to share, that Bible story will come back to mind. And so I'm thankful to be I'm thankful the election season is over. Oh man, that was tough. All right, here we go. This episode is going to be one of the ones that will be added to the stupid criminal collection of episodes that I've done in the past here. Let me give you some information here. So this is an article in the Associated Press, and it comes out from Los Angeles. It says California has seen its share of bears breaking into cars. I guess that's the thing out there in certain parts of California. But bears caught on camera entering luxury cars tipped off insurers that something wasn't quite right. In what has been dubbed as Operation Bear Claw, the California Insurance Department said that 4 Los Angeles residents were arrested Wednesday. They were accused of defrauding 3 insurance companies out of nearly $142,000, claiming that a bear had caused damage to their vehicles. Okay, so I want you to remember that number, 142,000, because I believe it's important here in a second. Now, the group is accused of providing footage from the San Bernardino Mountains of a bear moving inside a Rolls-Royce and 2 Mercedes vehicles. They sent these to the insurance company, the videos to the insurance companies, in order to make their damage claim. Now, photos provided to the insurance department show what appeared to be scratches on the seats and damage to the doors that the quote unquote bear had done. Now, the interesting thing here is that they're saying that when the company viewed the video of the bear doing the damage, this is what the video is what tipped them off that something wasn't quite right. Now I'm gonna show you this video. I think it's interesting here. Let's see where I have it here. Here we go. Check this out. Now there's no audio to it. So here we have this looks like a Rolls Royce, and a home camera or one of those security cams picked up a bear, which looks like take a good look at this video. Hopefully, if you're watching the audio version, you're gonna have to go to Spotify or to YouTube. But you see the thing moving around in the seat now. when when they investigated the homes of the residents that made the claim, they found this. It's a bear costume. Now, here's a better video, a more clear video. Check this out. You can see obviously that it's not a real bear. You got the mask, the person's wearing it, it's loose. The way the legs bend, you know, um, the way the legs bend on the bear, you could tell that it's not a bear. It's a human being, a human in a costume. Well, so the story goes that these guys, they tried to perpetrate this insurance scam, and let me give you some more information here. It says this: detectives found 2 additional claims when they started investigating this. They found 2 additional claims, and with 2 different insurance companies for the 4 individuals that made this claim, and they were all made on the same date at the same location. In other words, what these guys did is that somehow they got insurance for these vehicles with different companies at the same time. And so they were able then to do this prank. It's not a prank, it's fraud. Commit this fraud and then send the claim to these insurance companies at the same time. Now, so these multiple claims for these multiple cars. Let me why am I calling this stupid criminals? And of course, after they found out that there was something fishy going on here, that's when they executed a search warrant, and they found that bear costume that I just showed you with those little claw things. I think they're meant for handling steak, but anyways, it doesn't matter. They found these claw things, and you saw the damage that they claim happened to these cars. Now, what's the deal with the story? Look, I think that we've got a case of really stupid, smart criminals. What do I mean by that? Think. I, so, if you're not familiar with insurance fraud, there are different types of insurance fraud. So let's go over the poor man's insurance fraud. The poor man's insurance fraud, when you're actually trying to do something illegal, is somehow you have your car, you damage it. So you got your little, I don't know, Toyota Corolla, Ford Pinto, Chevy Chevette. I'm dating myself. The Chevy Chevette doesn't exist anymore, but you get these little tiny cars, these cheap cars, and you bang them up, and you send the claim into the insurance company, and the insurance company will send you a check for the repairs on the car, but you never do the repairs on the car. So what you end up driving around with is this chewed up vehicle, but you got this money. That's like poor man's insurance fraud, where they will create damage and they will receive money and never fix the car. Um, Now you get a little bit more sophisticated, where you get yourself some type of an arrangement with a collision center or some person who's not very honest, and you say, okay, we're going to put in these claims for a vehicle. The insurance company is going to give payment to the collision place. They should fix the car, but they jack up and inflate the prices and inflate the damage so that they can pocket the extra money. So now we get into the level of these really, rich criminals and stupid criminals, smart and stupid. Because think about this: you own a Rolls Royce, you own two Mercedes vehicles. These are not cheap cars. So I don't know if you are familiar with a Rolls Royce vehicle, but these things are some of the most luxurious cars out there. Rolls Royce vehicles range anywhere from $300,000 to over $500,000. And so these guys, somebody got a bright idea. Hey, let's take my. How much money must you have to be able to afford a Rolls Royce? Right? I mean, you gotta have some type of wealth, right? So you own a Rolls Royce, you own a couple of Mercedes Benz. You say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go into my $500,000 Rolls Royce, and I'm gonna take and start scratching things up, dressed up in a bear costume. I'm gonna send it to the insurance company for them to fix it, and then we're gonna have all this money. Really? Are you gonna plan on fixing your Rolls Royce? Okay, so if you fix your Rolls Royce, you have to have some type of an arrangement with the collision center. The Look, if you can afford a Rolls Royce, what are you doing trying to scam an insurance company out of $140,000? That's chicken feed to someone who owns a Rolls Royce. That's nothing, and you still got to fix the car. So, I, where'd you come up with this idea? Um, why? If you're smart enough to get to a place in life where you can afford really expensive cars, why would you why would you spend your mental energy to create something that you're going to get caught? These high price items, insurance companies aren't just going to write checks out. They have checks and balances. And then you give them a video, your own evidence. You didn't look at the video? You didn't look at the video and say, "Hey, we're going to have to redo that. We need to do that again because the costume part was sticking out." And you didn't think that through? I mean, I'm not trying to give advice on how to be a good criminal, but goodness gracious, you got to be a smart human being. You shouldn't have done it. I don't want to be giving bad advice here, but something just doesn't, there is such a thing as a smart, stupid person, or no, a stupid smart person. But what do we have here, and what is the Bible thread? I think maybe that's what we need to get to here. Um, by the way, the new story tells us that those individuals, four of them, are involved in this scam. They have been arrested. We don't have their names. We don't know, if they've lawyered up yet or what's going on. The story is, I just, like I said, this is the first story on this issue. I'm sure more information will come out. But think about this. You go from driving around a Mercedes and Rolls Royce to making license plates for them. That's what's going to probably end up happening. Over what? $142,000 to a person who has money to buy several cars. I don't, that was a dumb move, fella, whoever you are. Okay, what is the Bible thread? What is the Bible connection? Really, that's what this podcast is all about, right? Here's the thing that led me to see what the Bible thread is. What you have here is a story of people that have a lot, but it wasn't enough. They wanted more, and they tried to figure out a way to do it that was, in this case, not only wrong, it was illegal. In the Bible, I think of a story. I think of a story, and I'm sure if you're a Bible reader, you've heard the name before. But if you haven't, this may be new. I'm reminded of a man by the name of David. That's right, King David, the David from the David and Goliath story. Now, the Bible tells an interesting story here, and I just want to put up a couple of Bible verses here. Put this one up just to give you a little context here. David was the king of Israel, right? He was blessed by God, called by God to lead the nation, and God gave him a lot of successes. But the story here in 2 Samuel chapter 11 starts like this. It says, "In the spring of the year, the time when kings go out to battle, David sent Joab, that's his general, and his servants with him and all Israel, and they ravaged the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained at Jerusalem." And it happened late one afternoon when David arose from his couch. He was walking on the roof of the king's house that he saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. And David sent and inquired about the woman, and one said, "Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" Now, if you're not familiar at all with the Bible, this is an interesting thing here. David, instead of going off to war with his army, he decided to stay back at the palace in Jerusalem, and he sees this woman. This woman is married to a man named Uriah. He's Uriah, known as Uriah the Hittite. Now, Uriah was not just some guy that nobody knows about. Uriah was part of David's army. He was actually in a select group of soldiers in his army that they used to refer to as a quote mighty men. They did amazing things. They were amazing fighters, and they were amazingly loyal to David. They would give their life for David without question because they not only served him, they loved him. Uriah was a loyal soldier. Well, here the story goes that David, when he found out who she was, her beauty overcame his good sense. And he called her to the palace. He had an affair with her. He got her pregnant. He even went so far as to once she got pregnant, he tried to do things to cover it. You got to read the story, 2 Samuel chapter 11. But he tried to do things to cover it up. And when he felt that it wasn't working, he wasn't able to cover up the fact that she was pregnant by somebody else, by him, that he conspired to get Uriah killed in battle. He set Uriah up in battle, and Uriah was killed in battle. Now, the story continues that, David thinks that everything is good. He's all set. Bathsheba does her mourning period for her dead husband, and they kind of move on. But then later on, the Bible says that God sent a prophet to talk to David. And again, you got to read this. It's a good story. But the prophet draws David in with a story of someone who took something that belonged to someone else and didn't really, treat the person properly. And David, oh, that's wrong. That person deserves punishment. And here here's the next Bible text that I want to share with you, because in the midst of all that, this is when in 2 Samuel chapter 12, verses 7 and 8, Nathan is the name of the prophet. Nathan, after he sets him up with the story, he says, "You are the man This story is about you. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your arms, and I gave you the house of Israel and of Judah. This is God said, I did all this for you. And then he says, and if this were too little, I would add to you much more. And so the story goes that Nathan pronounces a judgment on David because of the great sin that he did. David had everything. He was the king. There were people that loved him, that served him. There were people that would die for him because of their loyalty to him. Nathan didn't have one wife, he had many wives. He had wives, he had concubines. And I'm not saying that it's right, but in that culture, if you married another wife, nobody batted an eye. That the polygamy was normal. That's just the way life was. And so, if he had a desire for uh, companionship, let me just put it that way, he had a bunch of women that he already had that he was married to that he could choose from. And if they didn't please him, he was at a stage where he could have married somebody else. But you see, David had a desire. Everything he had, for whatever reason, it just wasn't enough. And he began, and this is my words. He began to drink his own Kool-Aid, and he thought, "I'm the king. I can do whatever I want." And she belongs to him. Well, really, I'm going to take her. She's going to belong to me. And if you read the story, you got to read it. There was the result of that choice cost David dearly in the troubles that he had later on. He lost some of his children, that they died, and it's a direct result of the decisions that he made with Bathsheba. There are consequences to the choices we make, my friend. We may not see it at the time, but if we had that mindset, we would make a lot less mistakes in life. Now, why am I sharing this with you? What's the point? I mean, both of these stories really touch on greed. Um, Somehow you think that you deserve it. Somehow, how do you not see that what you're doing is wrong? And both got busted for what they did, and both, although this we don't know about this group yet, but both will pay a big price. Is there a lesson that we can learn from this? Well, I could talk to you a lot about what the Bible says as it relates to contentment, that we need to learn to be happy with the things that we have. Contentment with godliness is great gain. You know, one of the things that cause people to miss out on a happy life, it's not that they don't have things. It's not that they, have troubles that take away your joy. There are people that live this life and are never truly happy because they're always looking at the next thing. They're always complaining about what they don't have and rarely take stock of what they do have. If you have your health, if you have a job that pays the bills, if you have a family, if you're married to a spouse that you're walking this road of life together, and you're not just spouses, you're friends, money can't buy that. There are some people that have all that and it's not enough, and they're not content until they get the next promotion. But then once they get the next promotion, they want the next one. They want the next car. They want the next thing. And it's okay to desire things, but not when it makes you make bad choices. The Bible talks a lot about contentment, but there's one thing I want to leave you with, one thought from the Bible, and this is a question that Jesus asked. And he asked this. He says, "What does it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" So I take from the story, both stories, the story in the Bible with David and the story here with these really, really smart, stupid people, or this really stupid, smart. Yeah, you get where I'm going with that. The point for me is this: is that think through the choices that you make. What you give up may be worse. You may lose more than you gain. Make good choices. Learn to be happy. Learn to be content. Life is short. Be happy. Be content. If you want something, work for it. Work hard for it. Don't try to cut corners, because that's where you find yourself getting into a whole lot of trouble. So, so be happy with what you have. And listen, if you have a Rolls Royce, Don't mess it up. Those are really nice looking cars. That's my take. And that is inspiration to go. Hey, before you go, I want to invite you to be a digital missionary. You can do that by liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing to this podcast, by sharing a link to this podcast on your own social media feeds. In doing this, you can help the mission of this podcast in sharing inspiration and hope with your world around you.